And we're live.
Can I just say one thing? Happy birthday to the GOAT, the greatest Raptor of all time so far. K-Lo, Mr. Kyle Lowry, number 7, whose jersey will be hanging up in the Scotiabank Arena at some point eventually in the future.
But this video is not going to come out on his birthday, so it's just immediately starting off on a terrible foot. Yeah.
As of this recording, yes, I will say.
There we go. There you go.
Okay. So, good afternoon, good morning, good evening, ladies and gentlemen, wherever you are, whatever time it is for you right now. Just know that you are locked in until the point with Skip and the King. You guys know what to do. Go down there, click subscribe, click like, leave us a comment. We're waiting for our 400 subscriber to give away that Raptors tube that we've been bragging about. We still have many more giveaways for you guys. Okay? Just keep it going. Keep enjoying our shows. Keep enjoying the guests that we have that come on here. And speaking of great guests that we have, today we have the one and only Mr. Robert Misovic. Congratulations on the film festival, my man. I love the Q&As. I learned so much from it. Some of those short films are absolutely amazing. You're doing a great job, brother. Your basketball mind is absolutely amazing. We appreciate you coming here. And how are you doing today, my friend?
I'm good. I just want to talk about Scottie Barnes. That's all I want. That's all I want.
Then
in the whole world. It's early Christmas.
Let's get into it. This can be argued as one of the best draft classes ever that has come out. You got the two Jalen's, Suggs in the green. You got Cade Cunningham. You got Evan Mobley. You have Franz Wagner. You have Josh Giddey, who I know you like. Then you also have Scottie Barnes. So can I ask you, Robert, a question maybe of the rhetoric sort? Who is your pick for the Rookie of the Year? And why?
I don't think that's a rhetorical question, but because I am going to answer it, and B, there is a definitive answer to that. Naturally, I'm here to argue that Scottie is the Rookie of the Year. Now, this is not an argument that I would have made in January, as much as I love the guy. This is not a personal bias argument. This is a studying the game. Some people would say it is. Yeah,
but go on.
Screw them. No, what I'll say is
shots fired.
the complexity of his role, the efficiency with which he has executed that role. I don't necessarily think that team success necessarily should play a huge factor into Rookie of the Year voting, but apparently this year, because it's convenient for voters, it does. Well, if you're going to make that argument, then, well, Scottie's on the best team too, right? Scottie and Evan Mobley right now are, tied in the Eastern Conference standings. Rookies rarely, I went back and watched this Windhorst interview, and he was talking about Scottie Barnes, I think in November, saying that, the Raptors have a star, but don't expect them to win this year. Don't expect any rookie to impact winning. Well, Scottie's impacting winning in a big way, right? And there's a lot of these intangible qualities that I don't think show up in box scores, like how on target his passes are, or how willing a connector he is, how well he communicates on defense. There's all these things. And I was expecting coming into this year, if you told me that he was going to put up these numbers this year, I would have told you you're crazy. And I was the biggest Scottie Barnes fan on the planet. I think I'm probably a bigger fan of his than literally anyone in this country. Okay, I'm going to leave his parents out of it because I'm pretty sure they love him a lot more than I do. But anyone in this country, I was like, I'll go toe to toe with you and say I know more about this dude, and I've watched more games and watched more footage and believe in this guy more than you. And I did not see 15 points per game at all in his rookie season. That being said, I did see a guy who was going to impact the game in a lot of different ways. Again, as a connector, as a passer, as a rebounder, as a defender, as a guy who enables all other guys on the court to do these amazing things. I think it's not a surprise, to me at least, that Pascal Siakam is having a career year, because he has a player who, like Kyle Lowry in the past, sets him up in that way, right?
Batman and Robin, eh?
A little bit, right? So So obviously, like for me, it's a pretty clear-cut argument that the numbers, which I don't think are a really big part of measuring Scottie's impact, just because of how many different ways he impacts the game, which don't show up in the box score. I would say beyond the numbers, he's better. But actually, what's funny is even with the numbers, he's the rookie of the year, right? All the advanced stats suggest that he's been the best rookie this year. Okay. The on-off metrics, the box plus minus, true shooting percentage, everything is pointing to a very rich thing. And yes, you'll argue that for much of the year that Evan Mobley has been touted as a much better defender. He's had a much bigger impact on winning for the Cavs. He's got more blocks. Well, Scottie's got more steals. And then you say, well, okay, well, Evan Mobley, he fouls less. Well, I'll say Scottie Barnes turns the ball over less. There's really like you're splitting hairs between these two when it comes to numbers. But what I'm saying is the way they get their numbers and what they do beyond the numbers, those arguments are squarely in favor of Scottie. So, yeah.
So, Skip, thank you, Robert. Thank you for your input, man. That's pretty damn dope. Skip, who would you pick as your rookie of the year?
I've got to say,
come on.
Yeah, well, I gotta say, it's really close. Right? It's really close, right? I went to 3 websites this morning when I was researching this, and the first website ranked them Mobley first, Cunningham second, Scottie third. The second had Cunningham first, Scottie second, Mobley third. The third site had Barnes first, Cunningham second, and Mobley third. So it's all over the place, right? Like these 3 are neck and neck. So I don't think you can go wrong picking any of them. I think someone said if they won co-rookies of the year, they'd be totally. Maybe that was you. I think that might have been you, actually, Robert, mentioning that.
Yep.
That they could be co-rookies.
It would be the most statistically similar 2 players to win the
We'll get
award,
into that
yes.
after.
Yeah. So I think bottom line, I think they're very, very close statistically. I would still give the edge to Mobley, just again based on the defensive side of the ball. I think you can make an argument that their offensive seasons have been carbon copies of one another, have been very similar. Although it is very interesting because we just saw the Raptors play the Cavs on Thursday, and you saw even in that game they had almost identical stat lines: 11 points, 8 rebounds for Mobley, 11.6 rebounds for Scottie. Obviously, Mobley had more blocks.
What about the passing?
Mobley had more blocks and Barnes had more assists. But
Barnes had more steals and more assists.
Yes, but regardless, they had very, very similar superficial numbers in that game. But you saw they were very different presences on the court, right? Because Mobley was just he's kind of quiet. You don't even really see him out there. And then boom, he comes out of nowhere and blocks someone at the rim. And it's like, oh, right, he's there. Meanwhile, Scottie's carrying the ball up the floor. He's all over the place. You see him with the ball a lot more. But at the end of the day, their bottom line stats are very similar. So that's sort of like their presence on the floor is very different. But the stats at the end of the day are very similar. The thing is, when I look at Scottie and I look at Mobley now, not going back 6 months, but right now, I think of what is the upside of this type of play? You look at a guy like Mobley, he kind of reminds me almost of like a Rudy Gobert type, right? Like a guy who's a really, really impactful player, really good defender, but not really someone who's going to be that next level MVP candidate, just someone who excels in his role. Excels at a very, very high level, but you know what I'm saying? He's more.
I wouldn't compare him to Gobert at all. I see a lot more Kevin Garnett in him, to be honest. A lot.
I don't know, because
he's a good passer, man. Like he's had 5-6 assists in games too, right? And he's got a lot of defensive versatility. Like the knock on Gobert is he can't go out to the perimeter. Mobley can. Now I'm making a case for Mobley against the guy who's supposed to be making the case for Mobley, but I will say credit where credit is due. He's an incredible like defensive big, and that's not something I can say for Gobert.
I'm not just talking defense. I'm also talking offense here, where in terms of
he's got a smooth shot, man.
Yeah,
really smooth shot.
But
he's shooting 24% from 3, but like mid range, he's solid.
Yeah, but he's not a ball handler essentially, which is what I'm getting to.
He can handle the ball too. When
you're looking at Scottie, you're seeing much more of the Giannis prototype. When you see Scottie at his very, very best, you see him especially in that Lakers game, for example. I mean, if he was the player that he was in that Lakers game, I'm telling you, he'd be Rookie of the Year, he'd be MVP, he'd be whatever you want. Like that. If he could be that guy, then this isn't even a conversation. But he can't. He has not shown that he can be consistently that player.
Showtime, Scottie.
And so, for that reason, I think basically Gobert's impact at the rim as kind of. So if we talk about the defense, right? So Mobley is a very good rim protector. We agree with that?
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Yeah, of course.
Scottie is not a very good rim protector.
I disagree.
He's not.
He's okay.
I disagree with that one completely.
Yeah, I disagree as well.
He's okay. He's not very.
But that's the thing, though, right? Like you're talking about blocks.
That's not his
right?
designated
You're talking
role.
blocks.
Yeah.
Right. I'm talking contests, and those are totally different things. So Scottie may not like block the same number of shots as Mobley because, frankly, he's a lot smaller than Mobley. Scottie's 6'8".
Yeah.
With a 7'4" wingspan. Mobley's like 7 foot solid with like a 7'6" wingspan. So obviously, and Mobley's
Scottie,
like really
Scottie's
quick.
more like the guy that fronts the guy and has the block. The helper gets the block, right?
I mean, he's gotten blocks on jump shots.
Really?
He's gotten blocks as a primary. He just doesn't go for a lot of blocks. I think that was one of the big knocks on him at Florida State was that he just doesn't rack up a lot of blocks. But that's not to say that he doesn't change a lot of shots. Because he does, and he does it on the entire court. And I'm not saying Mobley doesn't. I'm just saying that Scottie really does. So
well, okay. My point about Scottie, I haven't even really finished my point, but essentially my point was that Mobley is a very good rim protector. He's very good in his role. Scottie has a much bigger role on defense. He's asked to do a lot more things.
5 roles.
He's asked to guard 1 through 5, but he's really, I think, from the eye test, he has struggled to guard in space, I would say. He's not really a guy that you would want to assign to a Chris Paul or something like that. Like, he's not like an OG Anunoby out there where it's like, you can throw him on Jokic, you can throw him on Chris Paul, it's fine. It's like, Scottie is much more like, okay, if he can hold his own versus the guards, he's okay. But I've seen him, even when he was guarding, even LeBron. I mean, LeBron's a tough guard for anybody, but like, I'm talking about guards here generally. Like when he's guarding guards, he has trouble staying with them at the top at the point of attack. So right. I think there are some struggles for Scottie on defense, which don't make him a bad defender by any stretch of the imagination. He's a fine defender, but I think if you just give Mobley that slight edge on defense, then you look at their offensive stats and they're almost the same across the board. And that's where I think Mobley gets the edge for this season. I think absolutely Scottie has way more upside than Mobley, which is something, if you had told me that at the draft, I would have been thrilled to find that out, that Scottie was going to be in the conversation for the Rookie of the Year, the guy who was projected to have the highest upside of all these guys. That would be amazing. Like, we were disappointed in this pick. I can't believe that he's even in the conversation.
Oh, no, you were disappointed in this
pick. You were disappointed in this pick.
I was disappointed in this pick. I can't believe I wanted Jalen Suggs. Let's not go there. Anyway, so the bottom line is I think it's really, really close. I think if Scottie has 1 or 2 huge games down the stretch, it could swing the whole vote in his favor. But I would still sort of lean towards Mobley at this point.
Okay, can I get in here, guys, for a minute?
Jump in.
Okay, so
you guys are hammering me, so like, take it away.
Yeah. Oh my goodness. Okay, Skip, you did say that you predicted you wanted Suggs on when Robert was on our show, and we did talk about the draft picks. Yes, Robert, you are Rob Stradamus. You did project Scottie Barnes. I did say Mobley, right? But this draft class has been absolutely amazing. And let's face it, Skip, I got to go against you, man. I can't take Mobley getting the edge. Okay, when I look at Scottie Barnes' numbers and just even the eye test, like out of all 3, like him, Cade, and Mobley, Scottie Barnes has the highest blocks plus minus, right? He doesn't have as many points, right? But he does have more minutes played per game. And he has taken on all 5 roles. Like Robert, you stated at one point, he has started from 1 all the way to 5. He has taken on some of, Skip, shut up. He is a good defender. He has
I didn't say he was a bad
defended some of the
defender.
best players. He has defended some of the best players on the other teams off of switches, or maybe just going right at him because he wants it. You see him with the full court press. This kid can run. This kid can block. I'm loving the no look passes. It maybe since I'm the oldest one here, to me it's kind of nostalgic of the Magic Johnson rookie year when he was just throwing up no look passes, rookie of the year, finals MVP, winning a chip, right? It's very reminiscent, that style of play, but then he also has other styles of play. Like, he can be your 4. He can be your 3. He can be your 2. You guys go pick whatever best player at that position. I guarantee you, he can excel at that, okay? And he can play all your favorite players at each position had issues playing the other positions. He can play all. So to me, it's a no-brainer that he should be rookie of the year. But, however, there were writers out there at the beginning, before you called it, Rob, that did not give a good grade for the Raptors getting Scottie. And they, unfortunately for you Toronto Raptors fans, they are involved in the voting for who will be rookie of the year. Robert, I saw your post on that and it was amazing, but I would love for you to elaborate on, will Scottie Barnes win rookie of the year due to circumstance?
I'm going to do everything I can to make sure in the next 20 days that I get this message out there, right? So that people who may not have heard these arguments, maybe hear these arguments. And let me present a few now to elaborate on what you're asking me to elaborate on. Let me put it clearly. We all have cognitive biases as human beings. There are people we like, people we don't like. There's inherent biases in us, okay? I don't want to get into racism and stuff, but there are certain types of players that you're going to gravitate towards more because they look a little bit more like you, right? Mm-hmm. So is shadeism a thing in the NBA? Hell yes. Hell yes. There is a shadeism element in the NBA. Is there a cultural element in the NBA where certain players, maybe they talk a little bit differently, right, than us? Maybe they, Allen Iverson, great example, right? Was Allen Iverson ever pushed as the face of the league the way that Kobe was pushed as the face of the league? Did his cornrows and the way he dressed have anything to do with that? Of course. So
you look like a straight up G. I still dress like you.
There you go. So it's like certain guys have to fight a little bit harder. Now, I don't necessarily understand why Scottie Barnes has always been looked over. Now, that's kind of crazy to say as a top 5 recruit and a guy who was on all the Olympic teams and, all the USA national teams or whatever, that, I'm saying that this guy's been underrated. But when he went to Montverde, right, why was Cade the de facto point guard? Scottie's a better passer. Scottie is a much better passer, in my opinion, than Cade Cunningham. So why was Cade the de facto point guard? Well, obviously, there's a certain charisma and a certain confidence in Cade. And there's a certain, gravitas that people just want to hand him the ball and hand him, the accolades, and they want to hand him the top prize. And then Scottie's a little bit goofy. He's a little bit weird. He doesn't fit into a box. He seems strange, right? So all of this old school narrative of like, oh, he's the next Draymond, he's a 0 level scorer. Okay, well, all these people look like clowns now, right? All these people who are saying he's not going to score. Well, he just dropped 31 points against LeBron James. And LeBron was trying, okay? And he was covering him. And he had difficult matchups on him. He had Taylor Horton Tucker on him. He's not like he's just getting wide open, rim, uncontested shots at the rim. He had to work for his 31 points against the Lakers.
Plus 30,
and they
plus
won.
10, and plus 5.
Yeah. And
right.
I'm just looking at these guys who were giving this draft grade a D+, and we're, even guys who are supposed to be draft experts, like Mike Schmitz, great example. Someone who had access to Scottie, talked to Scottie, watched his games, watched Florida State. He wasn't high on Scottie Barnes. He wasn't high on that pick. He thought the Raptors made a mistake. He thought Jalen Suggs was the obvious number 4 pick. So all of these guys now, they're going to look like clowns if he wins Rookie of the Year. Because it's not like he's winning Rookie of the Year and, Cade got injured and Evan Mobley got injured. No, Cade has been as good as advertised. Evan Mobley has been better than advertised. But this guy that you gave a D+ to, an F grade to, said no one should pick him. He's the 7th best. He's gonna know. Oh, he won Rookie of the Year? Now your credibility is shot. And guess what's coming up in 2-3 months? The 2022 NBA draft. And a lot of these people, they do have a horse in this game. Let's not pretend that people are just gonna just gloss over the fact that you gave this grade, you gave this pick a D+, and now the same person just won Rookie of the Year. You absolutely look like a clown. So I think that's a really big part of why he might not be getting the attention, because people are still thinking of him in the same way. They're still thinking about it, and they'll do anything. They'll play any sort of mental gymnastics to play. So here's the counterpoint. Everyone says that Evan Mobley has been such a transitional, incredible defender. Well, what has happened to the Cavaliers record since Jared Allen got injured?
Exactly. Thank you.
That's
what
exactly
I want to
it.
ask you.
Because
he's like the Robin to Jared Allen's Batman.
Well, what I want to say is that defensive impact. I want to go back to like a conversation I had with Kevin O'Neill in 2004, and he was talking about how the Detroit Pistons made Ben Wallace into one of the best defenders in league history. And effectively it was through it was not through getting Rasheed Wallace. It was through a system that they designed for basically, when you think about team basketball on a defensive side, there's a system in which one player, usually one or two players, are the recipients of that system in the box score. So if I create a trap, right? Now the trap doesn't generate anything in the box score. What creates something in the box score is when someone passes out of that trap, there's a rover who gets the steal, right? Yeah. That person is probably going to end up averaging 2.2, 2.5 steals per game, and they're going to get a lot of defense.
Gary Trent Jr.
Exactly. Gary Trent Jr. is not a good defender, but he gambles a lot. And the only reason his gambles pay off is because usually he's gambling on passes that are highly, highly silly passes. But those silly passes are being made because Scottie, Pascal, OG are making those passes happen. And Gary is the recipient,
100%.
Right? So when you look at someone like Ben Wallace was the recipient of great defenders around him. They were funneling people.
Chauncey. Yep.
Yeah. Sheed, Chauncey, Tayshaun Prince. In my opinion, Tayshaun Prince was the best defender on the Detroit Pistons. Rasheed Wallace was the second best defender on the Detroit Pistons. Ben Wallace was
and
the
Rip
third.
Hamilton was really the recipient for the numbers for all of that.
Right.
Like,
offensively and
yeah.
defensively. Ben Wallace and Rasheed Wallace were incredible screeners. So Rip is getting...
By the way, my favorite team, folks. Ever.
One of my favorite teams too. But in order to really understand that, you cannot just blanket statement and say, well, it was Ben Wallace who anchored that whole defense. No, he did not. He was the recipient of blocks because those players would funnel players against the baseline. And by the time they got to the rim, it was Big Ben, right?
Yeah.
That whole system in Detroit worked on a clock, on a string. So with the Cleveland Cavaliers, I'll tell you who has been the hardest working defender for the Cleveland Cavaliers.
Let me guess, Jared Allen?
It's been Allen and Okoro. They've been amazing, okay? And honestly, Mobley is the recipient of a lot of blocks because he's an incredible shot blocker. But the minute you take Allen out of that equation, he's not the same.
Everything falls on his shoulders is what you're telling me.
Exactly. So my argument to voters who are saying that Evan Mobley's this amazing defender and Scottie Barnes has struggled is this: how would Evan Mobley do in a system where he was asked to do what Scottie Barnes is asked to do? Scottie Barnes is the Jared Allen, and also the Okoro, and also the Evan Mobley, and also the Darius Garland. He's all of those things for the Raptors. He is the passer on offense. He's the best passer on this team. Okay? Hands down. If push comes to shove, he and Precious and Boucher are really the only shot blockers on this team. Okay? Because Pascal Siakam doesn't block shots. Okay? He's also the only guy apart from OG Anunoby on this team who can really check 1 through 5. And that's the whole reason this entire system works. And guess what? That other guy, OG Anunoby, hasn't played for the last month and a half. So he's been doing that by himself. So the fact that he's been asked to do this carry this incredible load for the Raptors on offense and defense. Here's the other part of this. He's also played the most minutes. Now, you can say, well, minutes played generally tend to impact box score metrics because the guy has more time to, make his mark on the box score. Well, that's fine. But generally speaking, there's usually a correlative effect on the advanced metrics going down for players who play a lot of minutes, because obviously their efficiency is going to go down. A guy who's taking a jump shot after playing 40 minutes.
35.8 minutes a game, and he's still plus 0.7 more than all the other rookies.
Exactly. And that's the point, right? It's like the fact that he's been so efficient despite playing so many minutes, the fact that his advanced metrics are so high despite playing so many minutes, the more minutes are actually hurting him. Because if you tell Scottie Barnes, you're going to play 25 minutes a night, now go nuts. Now you can foul as much as you want, take more shots per minute because you have the reign to go with the second unit and play, that way. You can definitely exert more energy on defense. I'm not disagreeing with you that he has struggled to guard in space. I'm not disagreeing with you. But what I'm saying is when he checks in, when he really dials in for a couple of possessions, he can lock up. I don't care if it's Chris Paul, because that defensive focus, and it's not just that he's playing this, switch everything guy for the Raptors. He's also the quarterback on defense. When you really hone in on the game, when you really start to watch him, he's the one guiding Pascal Siakam. Exactly. He's the one guiding Pascal Siakam on where to be. He's the one guiding Precious Achiuwa. He's shoving guys. Okay. When OG's not there, he is your quarterback on defense. So he's the one who's so yeah, there are certain plays where he does suffer a blow by because he's not OG Anunoby. He doesn't get low enough in his stance right now. But a lot of what OG Anunoby became as a defender really does come down to experience. And I think given his commitment to defense and how much he prides himself, you will see Scottie Barnes get better on defense, right? As his experience catches up. Also, I think one of the underrated parts of this is, yes, he's very physically advanced. And we often assume that a guy like Evan Mobley is going to bulk up or whatever. Scottie Barnes is 20 years old. He's not.
Yeah, he's young enough to be my kid.
Growing. Yeah, he's not even done growing yet. So as these guys, there's a sort of misconception that guys are quicker at 20 than they are at 25. That's not true, actually. Guys are generally much quicker at 25 than they are at 20. Because guys who are 20, they're young, but they lack all the muscle development that they'll have by 25. So I think you're going to see a guy who, despite being ridiculously good right now, is going to get more ridiculously good later. And I just think that if I wanted to hammer this down to a single point, I'm sorry I'm rambling, but on a single point.
Okay, make your point.
Could any other rookie have done what Scottie Barnes did this year? Versus could Scottie Barnes have done what every other rookie has done this year? Could Scottie Barnes have been the point guard for the Pistons? Hell yes. Could Scottie Barnes have been an offside shot blocker for next to Jared Allen in Cleveland and racked up 2 blocks a game? Hell yes, he definitely could do that, right? Could Scottie Barnes have run shooting guard next to Shai Gilgeous-Alexander? Could he have played small forward in the role of Franz Wagner and maybe a few less shots and a few more drives to the rim? Of course he could have. He could have done any of those people's roles, but nobody could have done what he did.
Skip, would you like to answer that question that Robert just asked?
But I do see your point about because of the versatility, you're comparing him to a point guard in Cade and a big man in Mobley, and there is some crossover in the versatility there. I don't think it's quite. I'm not going to take it literally that he could literally have done those things, but I hear your point that if he had been asked to fill those roles, he would have done so admirably and been kind of the similar type of player as what he is. I'm just going to double back on your media narrative point. I think it's funny that you think the media hates Scottie because he's such a likable guy. Anytime you see him in an interview, he's always goofy and funny and seems like he'd be the media darling, if anything.
He's been picked on a lot throughout his life. I mean, they used to embrace face.
But Skip, what Robert was saying was based on what the media already said about him. They don't want to lose their reputation and get screwed over. I get what you're saying about Scottie being a lovable, goofy guy. like I said, not last episode, the episode before, when I saw him go pick up Boucher, pick up Siakam, and go pick up Sadiq Bey, and then slap hands with the ref right all at the same time. That was absolutely amazing. Like this, I love this guy's. I love this guy's mentality. I love his personality. I love things he talks about. I love how he's embraced our great city of Toronto. Now, before we head out, guys, I have one last question just to tie this all into a knot. I'm pretty sure the three of us can go on for another 3 hours talking about this, but just one last question to tie it up is, do you think it can be possible that we can have, since Grant Hill, Jason Kidd, co-rookies of the year?
Sure.
Robert?
Yeah, I think it's possible. Yeah. And I don't necessarily think it would be a terrible idea. Obviously, I would prefer that outcome to someone else winning it, personally.
I think it's fair. I don't know exactly how the voting process works. Is it just a point system?
Yeah.
So that was just, they just literally tied, and that's why they were co-rookies of the year.
I think it's just, I think they were just too close for them to split the award. I don't exactly remember or if the voting has changed since then. But I think that they were so
back
close.
then it wasn't really a point system. It was like every writer actually just had one vote. Everybody that was on the in that area to vote for, they just had one, and it counted as one. And it came down to, I think it was 37 and 36 votes each for them.
Oh, okay.
It was right? Jason Kidd, right? It was Jason Kidd and Grant Hill? Yeah. I mean, if you're asking me, like, I mean, ironic, right? Like, you're talking about one of the greatest draft classes of all time, right? And when I think about that draft class, and I think about 84, and I think about 2003, the next draft class I think about is 2021. Like 2018, elite. 2018, elite. Luka, Trey, awesome, right? Yep. But in terms of, like, I mean, there's so many guys in this draft class we're not even fucking talking about right now. You know,
I know.
It's so many.
Know, right?
It's still a bit early, but it has that feel. It has that feel.
Like, if I'm telling you right now, I've watched enough Jonathan Kuminga right now to say if he was on any other team right now, he would be making some serious noise.
Well, remember when we did do the draft predictions, Tyler did say,
I think he had Kuminga 5.
He had Kuminga.
Yeah, I probably would have put Kuminga at 7, to be honest. I mean, here's the funny thing. I mean, you call me Nostradamus or whatever, and you say, like, I was right about Robstradamus. Or, like, you say I was right, but the truth is I was wrong, because, you know, in a way, yes, my draft board was Cade, Evan, Scottie, right? And yes, technically I'm right, because Cade and Evan were off the board. But if I had to redo that today, I swear to God, I would go Scottie number 1. Mm-hmm. And I wasn't there like 5 months ago. I was kind of like, okay, I still think Evan Mobley's going to probably be better. But I have seen enough at this point and known enough about him. It's not just the on-court stuff. It's the off-court stuff. It's who he is as a person. It's how he thinks. It's how he sees the game. It's like his cerebral ability is what will make him a really good player at 37.
So, like, Robert, would you like to come back on for when we've been marqueing players and showcasing certain players? Would you like to come on for a Scottie Barnes episode?
Yeah, sure, man. Anything.
That's a question of the rhetorics.
Listen, man. Like, honestly, anything about Scottie, keep me on. Like, whatever. I don't care. Like, what time I have to do. Like, I want to get the word out, because I don't know, like, who watches these videos. Sometimes, 2,000 people watch your video. Sometimes 80 people watch your video. But I want to make sure, like, whoever watches whatever in the next 2 weeks, that they get a really good argument for why Scottie Barnes is Rookie of the Year. I'm on a personal mission right now. This is like literally, like, I would have a speakerphone on the side of the road if I could.
I support you. On that, man. I also support you on your film festival. It's been nothing but amazing that I've seen.
Thank you so much.
It's absolutely great. If you guys have not seen that, you just suck, and you might as well just live.
You don't
under
suck.
A rock.
It's okay. You might.
I would say fight me if they don't want to do it.
Yeah.
But it's absolutely great. It's something intellectually stimulating. Robert, you are an inspiration to myself and many other people mentally, and physically. Right? You have a great basketball mind, and maybe not physically, but anybody Anybody that likes to argue with me,
I haven't been to the gym in like 2 years, man. It's like I have pandemic bod right now.
Yeah,
I'm not physical inspiration to anybody. Let Scottie Barnes be your physical inspiration. There you go.
Where do you come by for? I mean, me getting up at this time to film this. That's a physical inspiration. I'm getting up. I'm old, right? So it's been great having you on. Hopefully we see you soon. Wish you nothing but the best in all your endeavors, man. I'm a proud supporter. I love your Q&As. I've learned so much from the people that you've had on there. They're all absolutely amazing from everything I've seen. You guys know where to find Simon. Dougie J's, SimonBroder.com, Running the Point. You guys can find Robert anywhere. In his words, Google me. And by the way, go check out that Scottie Barnes mixtape that dropped yesterday. Woo! Fire! Cool.
Yeah.
You guys know where to find me. Go down there, click subscribe, click like. Make sure you guys are in the running for that giveaway because we have more to give away. On behalf of myself, Skip, and the one and only Robert Misovic, good afternoon, good morning, good evening, good night, and
peace.
Peace.